Podcast Part 1, Magnesium Daily, the silent mineral that improves your sleep, mood, and energy. Hello. I'm Wellness Tour, and today we're going to take a deep dive into magnesium consumption. Get ready for a relaxing, entertaining, and very practical journey through the world of this mineral, which, while quiet, is found in almost everything your body needs to function properly. We're going to talk calmly, in everyday language, without tables and in continuous paragraphs, what magnesium is, why you might be getting less than you need, what specific benefits were observed in the document we analyzed, and how they translate into your daily life. Ready? Let's begin. 1. Why all the fuss about magnesium? Imagine your body as a city that's always in motion. There are traffic lights that need to be synchronized, streets that need to be fixed, lights that turn on and off, trucks that discharge energy. Magnesium is like the electrician and construction manager of that city. It's behind more than 300 chemical reactions, helping energy to be generated, muscles to contract and relax, the brain to process signals without short circuits, and the heart to maintain its rhythm. If you're lacking magnesium, it doesn't mean everything stops suddenly, but many things start to operate at half speed. The problem is that, although magnesium is found in common foods, leafy greens, legumes, nuts, whole grains, our modern diet tends to lean toward processed, refined, and fast foods. In that rush to grab something on the go, a large portion of these micronutrients is lost. The result, many people are below their ideal magnesium levels without even knowing it. They aren't sick of magnesium, but they aren't taking full advantage of their well-being either. It's like driving a car with the oil running low. It works, yes, but at the expense of the engine. 2. The study that serves as our compass, real improvements, even if they seem small. The document we discussed earlier is key because it's not just theoretical. They took a group of people, measured how they slept, how they felt, how ready they were to face the day, what they call readiness, and gave them magnesium for a period. Then, with the same participants, they repeated the process with a placebo. This crossover methodology is powerful because it reduces individual variability. Each person is their own control. What did they see? That after 2 weeks of magnesium, the readiness score increased. A lot? No, it wasn't a leap into the stratosphere, but it was a statistically significant change. Translated into simple English, those small numbers translate to less sleepiness, a better mood upon waking, and less mental heaviness. And here's an important point: we often want miracles. We want everything to change dramatically overnight. But health works more like a long-term investment than a lucky spin on the roulette wheel. Small, sustained improvements, sleeping a little better, recovering a little faster, being a little less stressed, accumulate and, over the course of weeks or months, lead to a big change. Magnesium, according to this and other studies, is that fine-tuning that, combined with other good habits, keeps you running smoothly. 3. Magnesium and your sleep, the perfect alliance to turn off internal noise. One of the study's star benefits was its impact on sleep. Why? Because magnesium helps calm the nervous system. It works hand in hand with GABA, which acts as the brain's brake when it becomes hyperdynamic. If you're struggling to unplug at night, if your mind keeps thinking about pending tasks, chatting, or tomorrow, magnesium can help you slow down. It's not a sleeping pill, nor does it knock you out. Rather, it creates the context for sleep to occur naturally. You fall asleep earlier, wake up less often, and when your alarm goes off, you don't feel like you've been hit by a truck. The study found that sleep efficiency improved. Sleep efficiency is the ratio between the time you spend in bed and the time you actually sleep. Many people spend 8 hours in bed, but sleep 5, and toss and turn the rest of the time. With magnesium, that percentage increases. You spend more time actually asleep. Furthermore, a higher proportion of deeply restorative sleep, deep sleep and REM, was observed, which helps consolidate memory, regulate hormones, and repair tissues. Less tossing and turning, more real rest. 4. Mood and stress, the emotional buffer you didn't know you had. The same group that improved their readiness also reported feeling calmer and in a better mood. Why? Because magnesium is involved in the synthesis and function of neurotransmitters that determine your mood. When you're low on magnesium, you're more likely to feel irritable, anxious, or short-tempered. When you replenish it, your tolerance to stress increases. You still have problems because life doesn't eliminate them, but your reaction is less explosive, and your emotional recovery is faster. Think of magnesium as a shock absorber. The road may have bumps, but if the shock absorbers are good, the blow is lessened. This doesn't mean it will cure clinical depression on its own, but it can be an ally in preventing the spiral of tiredness, poor sleep, bad mood, and even more tiredness. Science has already seen this in various contexts: people under work stress, students during exam season, or older adults with sleep problems all benefit from sufficient magnesium. 5. Physical recovery, when your muscles say thank you. Magnesium is also key in muscle contraction and relaxation. When you're deficient, your muscles complain more, cramps, spasms, and a feeling of heaviness. After exercise, magnesium helps calcium and other minerals enter and exit muscle cells properly. This helps fibers repair better, inflammation decreases promptly, and you feel less damaged the next day. In the study, that improved sense of readiness for the day also translated into more effective physical recovery, less accumulated fatigue and a greater willingness to move. Perhaps not a dramatic change in strength or speed was directly measured, but it was a measure of the body's ability to get back to work without being destroyed. For someone who trains consistently or simply walks a lot for work, this is pure gold. 6 collateral benefits that should not be forgotten. In addition to sleep, mood, and muscle recovery, magnesium has other less spectacular but equally important effects. Blood pressure and cardiovascular health, helps relax blood vessels. People with mild hypertension may notice small reductions in their blood pressure. It's not a replacement for your treatment, but it is a useful supplement. Glucose metabolism, improves insulin sensitivity, helping to better control blood sugar. For those on the borderline of prediabetes or with insulin resistance, this is a valuable support. Bone health, works together with calcium and vitamin D to maintain strong bones. We sometimes focus only on calcium, but without magnesium, bone building doesn't happen properly. Headaches and migraines, there is evidence that magnesium may help reduce the frequency and intensity of some migraines, probably due to its vascular relaxant and neuromodulatory effects. 7. Why, if it is so good, do so many people lack magnesium? We can blame several factors. The modern diet, which we mentioned at the beginning, is one. Agricultural soils are less rich in minerals than they were decades ago, which means the same vegetables may have less magnesium. In addition, chronic stress depletes magnesium stores because your body uses it to manage the stress response. And certain medications, such as diuretics or proton pump inhibitors for reflux, increase magnesium loss or hinder its absorption. Another point is that many people think a multivitamin is all it takes. But those tablets often contain very low doses of magnesium, because magnesium takes up space and weight. Getting the right amount from a multivitamin alone is like trying to fill a pond with a teaspoon. That's why, when studies talk about 200, 300, or 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium per day, they're almost always referring to specific magnesium supplements or a truly whole foods diet. 8 forms of magnesium, why some are heavy on you and others are not. Without getting too technical, it's helpful to know that not all forms of magnesium are absorbed equally or have the same side effects. Magnesium oxide, for example, is inexpensive and very common, but its absorption is relatively low and it often causes more intestinal discomfort. Magnesium citrate is better absorbed and works well for those who need a little boost in their intestinal transit. Magnesium glycinate or bisglycinate, highly valued in studies aimed at improving sleep and digestive tolerance, is generally milder and has good bioavailability. This is important because if taking magnesium causes diarrhea or makes you feel bloated, the fault isn't the magnesium itself, but the form and dosage. Adjusting the form, for example, switching from citrate to glycinate, and dividing the dose into 2 daily doses often resolves the problem. 9. Magnesium as part of a combo, not as a magic bullet. Another idea worth reinforcing, magnesium doesn't work magic alone. It's part of a set of habits that reinforce each other. If you sleep poorly because you're on your phone late, drinking coffee until 8 p.m., or working in bed, no supplement no matter how good will fix everything. Magnesium will be much more effective if you organize your schedule, your sleep hygiene, and your stress levels. The same goes for exercise. If you never move, magnesium won't give you back athlete-like muscles. But if you're training and not recovering well, then it can be the missing piece to get things moving. In short, magnesium enhances what you're already doing well and smooths out some mistakes, but it doesn't replace basic habits. 10 everyday stories that illustrate its impact. So that it doesn't seem like something technical, let's think about real cases. Maria, 42, mother and professional, she goes to bed late, wakes up early, and feels like she's never rested. She starts taking magnesium at night, along with her dinner. Within a week, she's sleeping with fewer interruptions. It's not that she sleeps 10 hours now, but her 6 to 7 hours are deeper, and she wakes up less exhausted. Luis, 35, runs 3 times a week. He used to suffer from calf cramps after training. By increasing his magnesium intake, eating more nuts and taking a bisglycinate supplement, the cramps almost disappeared. He can train without fear of his legs stiffening. Carla, 28, high work stress, she noticed that after work, even a little something could trigger a massive anger outburst. With daily magnesium, she feels she explodes less and finds it easier to relax with a shower and a book. They are not miracles, they are small adjustments that feel like a great relief in everyday life. 11 Summary of key benefits, no tables, but clear. Better, deeper sleep, you fall asleep faster, wake up less, and recover better. More stable mood and less stress, it's you, but with more patience and resilience. More efficient muscle recovery, fewer cramps, less post-exercise pain. Cardiovascular and metabolic support, helps maintain blood pressure and sugar levels within healthy ranges. Strong bones and a clear mind, contributes to bone mineralization and cognitive function. Good digestive tolerance, if you choose the right form you can take it every day without suffering from the bathroom. Those are the big headlines. Now the question is, how do you implement it? How do you know what dose, what form, and when? What mistakes to avoid? 12. What's coming in part 2? In the second part, we'll dive into a SWOT analysis of the document and the evidence. We'll look at the strengths, how robust the results are, the opportunities, what you could improve in your magnesium routine, the weaknesses, limitations of the studies and certain forms of the mineral, and the threats, myths, poor practices, low-quality supplements. After that, I'll give you a step-by-step action plan, how to get started, how to adjust, what signs to look for in your body, and when it's best to consult a healthcare professional. So, if this extended part 1 left you wanting more, brace yourself. In the next installment, we'll turn all this information into concrete, easy-to-follow steps tailored to your needs. The goal is for you to not only understand why magnesium is important, but also to get the most out of it without wasting time or money. Thanks for staying this far. Take a deep breath, drink water, hydration is key too, and we'll hear from you in part 2. Let's go. Part 2, SWOT and Magnesium Action Plan, extended version in everyday language. Okay, so in part 1 we understood why magnesium is that silent master that commands half the body without showing off. Now it's time to bring it all down to earth with 2 main steps. First, a SWOT analysis to see the big picture, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then a step-by-step action plan to take you from how interesting to I'm already applying it. Everything is presented in paragraphs, without tables, keeping the tone simple and direct. Let's get to it. Let's start with SWOT. Imagine you're reviewing a project. You need to know what you have going for you, where you can improve, what you need to address, and what could ruin the party if you don't consider it. The same goes for magnesium. There's solid evidence, clear benefits, but also limitations, myths, and details to keep in mind. The strengths of magnesium are evident in clinical studies that demonstrate real improvements in sleep, mood, and physical recovery, even in relatively short periods of time. The crossover methodology of the document we analyzed gives it added reliability, because the same participants tested magnesium and placebo, thus, you don't have to compare 2 groups with different lives and habits. Another strength is its versatility. Magnesium not only helps you sleep better or reduce cramps, it also supports blood pressure, glucose regulation, bone health, and nervous system balance. Finally, safety. At usual doses, magnesium is very well tolerated, especially when choosing a chelated form such as glycinate or bisglycinate. Side effects are usually mild and manageable, allowing for continued use without fear. The opportunities are enormous because most people consume less magnesium than they should. There's a huge opportunity there to improve well-being without major sacrifices. From changing some menu items to choosing a quality supplement and adjusting your intake schedule, simple and inexpensive avenues open up. Another opportunity lies in personalization. You can use magnesium for a specific purpose. If your core problem is constipation, a citrate may help. If it's sleep and anxiety, glycinate may be your best ally. There's also an opportunity in education, understanding that small, sustained changes make a big difference in the long run. And don't forget smart combos, magnesium with vitamin D for bones and the immune system, with omega-3 for inflammation, and with good sleep hygiene to make it really work. The weaknesses come from several sources. One is that there's no universal magic dose. What works for you may be too much or too little for someone else, so you have to try and adjust. Another weakness is the heterogeneity of the evidence. Not all studies use the same form of magnesium, the same doses, or measure the same things. This can be confusing and lead to hasty conclusions like it didn't work for me. There's also the digestive issue. Some forms, such as oxide, can cause discomfort and diarrhea if you exceed the dose. Finally, many multivitamins contain so little magnesium that they generate a false sense of security. You think you've covered your intake, but you're still below the optimal level. The threats relate to misinformation and product quality. Some supplements are poorly formulated, oxidized, or have misleading labels that don't state how much elemental magnesium they contain. Fake supplements are also circulating. News that either elevate it to the category of a cure-all, or discredit it because a single study didn't find spectacular results. Another threat is improvisation. Taking extremely high doses without medical guidance, especially if you have kidney or heart problems, is not a good idea. And finally, laziness in changing habits. If you keep lying in bed with your cell phone in front of your face, drinking coffee at 9 p.m., and eating ultra-processed foods every day, magnesium will have a low ceiling of effectiveness. Now that you've completed the SWOT analysis, let's move on to the action plan. I'll explain it as if I were with you, step by step, so you can implement it starting today. The first step is to know where you're starting from. If you can, do a quick check-in. How do you sleep? How many times do you wake up during the night? Do you wake up rested or destroyed? Do you have cramps? Do you feel tense? Do you live with a short fuse? Write down 3 or 4 symptoms or sensations you'd like to improve. You don't need a lab to notice changes, but if you have access to a wearable that measures sleep or a simple rest and mood questionnaire, even better. Also, take note of your actual diet for a week. How many servings of green vegetables do you eat? Do you include nuts, legumes, seeds? This record will tell you whether your magnesium intake from food is poor or acceptable. Then comes the second step, which is adjusting your diet. No, you don't have to become a natural or vegan chef, simply incorporate some magnesium-rich foods. Spinach, chard, beans, chickpeas, lentils, almonds, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, pure cocoa. These are bombs of magnesium and other micronutrients. A spinach and cocoa smoothie in the afternoon, a serving of lentils twice a week, and a handful of nuts daily already make a difference. Ideally, you should get a third or half of what you need from food alone, with the supplement completing the rest. The third step is choosing the right magnesium form for you. If your priority is avoiding gastrointestinal discomfort and you are looking for benefits for sleep, anxiety, and recovery, bisglycinate or glycinate are usually the most convenient. If you also suffer from constipation, citrate can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Avoid oxide if you are sensitive, as it's the most likely cause of diarrhea. And if you want extra absorption, liposomal or chelated versions have good bioavailability. Here, quality matters more than the famous brand. Check that the label clearly tells you how much elemental magnesium each capsule provides, not just the weight of the compound. The fourth step is to define the starting dose and schedule. For most adults, starting with 200 mg of elemental magnesium daily is reasonable. If all goes well, you can increase to 300 or 400 mg divided into 2 doses, e.g., afternoon and evening. Taking it with food helps with absorption and reduces discomfort. If your main goal is better sleep, the last dose can be 1 or 2 hours before bedtime. If you exercise intensely, another dose can accompany your post-workout meal to support recovery. You don't need megadoses from day 1, go from less to more, listen to your body, and adjust. The fifth step is to complement it with habits that multiply the effect. To sleep better, cut out screen time at least an hour before bed, dim the lights, ventilate your room, and create a relaxing ritual, warm shower, soft reading, breathing. To better manage stress, add conscious breathing pauses throughout the day, go for a 15-minute walk after lunch, and listen to calming music. Magnesium is the oil that makes the cogs turn more smoothly, but the cogs still need to be moved. The sixth step is to assess changes after 4 weeks. Ask yourself, am I falling asleep faster? Am I waking up less often? Do I have fewer cramps? Am I less irritable? How is my energy when I wake up? If there's improvement, keep doing what you're doing. If you feel little change, check, are you taking the right dose? Are you eating worse than you thought? Are you still drinking coffee very late or going to bed at midnight? Maybe it's time to adjust the method, the amount, or reinforce habits. The seventh step is to think long-term. Magnesium can be safely part of your daily routine, but you can also take breaks from time to time to see if you still need the same dose. Some people with excellent diets and under stress can cut back on supplementation seasonally, while others, due to their lifestyle or health conditions, benefit from maintaining it. Listen to your body, and if you have specific questions or medical conditions, consult a healthcare professional knowledgeable in micronutrition. The eighth step is not to forget the rest of the puzzle. In addition to magnesium, your body needs adequate hydration, quality proteins, healthy fats, such as omega-3, sunlight to synthesize vitamin D, and daily exercise, not just the gym, but also walking and stair climbing. If you focus only on the supplement and neglect the rest, you'll be putting new tires on a car with an unmaintained engine. The ninth step is to educate yourself and filter the information. Read labels, be wary of miracle promises and influencers selling the only magnesium that works. There isn't just one, decisions are made based on goals and tolerance. Don't rely on a single study either, the strength of magnesium lies in the consistency of many papers that point in the same direction. And, by the way, if you ever experience unusual effects, persistent nausea, severe diarrhea, palpitations, reduce the dose and consult a doctor. Safety is high, but common sense is never too much. To conclude the plan, the 10th step is to stay motivated. Subtle changes sometimes feel less dramatic than an Instagram before and after. You can build on small practices, keeping a short sleep and mood journal, celebrating when you get a full night's sleep, thanking yourself when you choose almonds instead of crackers, noticing how a muscle aches less the day after a workout. This fuels the virtuous cycle, you feel better, you make healthier choices, you keep improving. We've reached the end of part 2, where we put the SWOT analysis under scrutiny and turn theory into concrete action. If you're left with one central idea, let it be this: magnesium isn't a luxury or a fad, it's a simple and powerful tool for fine-tuning your daily well-being. Science backs it up, your feelings confirm it, and your body thanks you. Now the ball's in your court. Start today with a small change, prepare a magnesium-rich dinner, find a supplement that's kind to your stomach, turn off that screen sooner, take a deep breath, and let yourself be cared for by the silent mineral that, without making a sound, sustains your energy, your calm, and your sleep. Thanks for listening to this second part. If you'd like to create a personalized roadmap with dosages, brands, recipes, and reminders, just let me know. I'm here to help you turn every piece of information into a sustainable habit. See you next time, and may your night be as restful as what you just learned.